On our broadcast tonight, making history at the Supreme Court as the justices lay down the law. Two big cases on same-sex marriage. Tonight, the decisions and the impact across the country. The final moments, chilling testimony from the woman on the phone with Trayvon Martin the night he died, talking about what she heard during that deadly confrontation. Taking a stand, one woman's epic all-night filibuster, her desperate effort to run out the clock when suddenly chaos erupts during a showdown over abortion in Texas. And in her defense, Paula Dean's emotional appearance this morning on Today, followed by news tonight of another loss to her one-time food empire. Nightly News begins now.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Brian Williams.
Good evening. Gay couples across this country were today handed a sweeping victory by a majority of the justices on the Supreme Court. They took on two cases, one to allow married partners full federal benefits, the other having to do with gay marriage in California. Like so many other things in modern times, the framers of the Constitution could not have foreseen this issue. They, of course, made no mention of same-sex couples in the Constitution. And while the justices did not suddenly make gay marriage the law of the land, they did strike down barriers in the states that have allowed it so far in what's being called the most important ruling ever on gay rights. We have it all covered tonight, beginning with our justice correspondent, Pete Williams at the court. Pete, good evening.
Brian, good evening. The court did not go as far as gay rights advocates had hoped. It did not order all states to allow same-sex marriage. But the rulings will have an immediate impact on tens of thousands of gay couples nationwide. Gay rights supporters crowded outside the court cheering the historic decisions. First, a ruling striking down a law passed by Congress in 1996, the Defense of Marriage Act, known as DOMA. That law blocked the federal government from recognizing same-sex marriages in the states that allow them, depriving those couples of more than 1,000 federal benefits that other married couples have. In a 5-4 ruling written by Justice Anthony Kennedy, the court said DOMA serves no legitimate government purpose, and he said it demeans those who are in a lawful same-sex marriage, declaring their marriages less worthy and humiliating tens of thousands of children raised by same-sex couples. Victory for Edie Windsor of New York, socked with a $363,000 tax bill when her spouse died, leaving her the estate. DOMA blocked the IRS from considering the married and exempt from estate taxes.
We won everything we asked and hoped for. Wow. I'm honored and humbled and overjoyed to be here today.
In the second 5-4 decision, this time by Chief Justice Roberts, the court tossed out an appeal involving California's Proposition 8, passed by voters in 2008. It had stopped same-sex marriages in the state. The court said the people who put Prop 8 on the ballot had no legal authority to appeal after a lower court struck it constitutional. It's not enough, wrote the Chief Justice, to have a keen interest in the case to file an appeal. Instead, someone must have suffered a concrete injury, he said, and the Prop 8 supporters didn't have it. For the two California couples who challenged the law, that's the answer they wanted.
Now we will be married and we will be equal to every other family in California.
So today is a good day. It's the day I finally get to look at the man that I love and finally say, will you please marry me?
A short time later, their interview on MSNBC was interrupted by a call from the president on Air Force One.
We thank you so much for your support.
Opponents of same-sex marriage took some comfort in the rulings.
I am pleased that the court did not create out of thin air a constitutional right to same-sex marriage, and this debate will go on.
But with a boost to one side, says Tom Goldstein of SCOTUS blog.
Today's rulings don't give anyone a legal right to same-sex marriage, but they give it a moral underpinning, with a majority of the Supreme Court having really said very forcefully that these relationships deserve equal treatment under the law.
California will probably have to wait at least a month before resuming same-sex marriages to let the court process play out. And tonight, the Obama administration is rewriting hundreds of rules now that the key part of DOMA is dead. Brian?
And it's the Reagan-appointed Justice Kennedy who becomes a leading voice on all this on the court. Pete Williams at the court starting us off tonight. Pete, thanks. Now to the reaction to these two cases, the Prop 8 case in California and the court striking down the Defense of Marriage Act. Reaction ranged from jubilation to consternation. Ann Thompson with more on that from New York tonight. Ann, good evening.
Good evening, Brian. The event taking place behind me is one of a series across the country in support of today's decision. The ruling means that legally married same-sex couples now have new protections and obligations under federal law. Mid-morning toast at New York City's Stonewall Inn, where the gay pride movement began 44 years ago. On Capitol Hill, reaction was as polarized as the court's 5-4 decision.
I feel jubilation. I feel fabulous. I feel every gay word I can think of.
What we now have today is a holy quintet who goes against the laws of nature and nature's God, and that's very unfortunate.
The decision set Twitter on fire. More than 9,000 tweets a minute as the nation absorbed the news. On the nightly news feed, opinions split. The ruling means change. Legally married same-sex couples will no longer have to pay taxes on a spouse's health coverage. They can file their federal taxes jointly, and some will pay the marriage penalty. Spouses can now get Social Security, retirement, and death benefits. And the surviving spouse won't have to pay an estate tax. Plus, it means gay U.S. citizens can now sponsor their immigrant spouses for green cards. Military couples may feel the biggest impact. Last October, Tracy Johnson lost her wife Donna, killed by a suicide bomber in Afghanistan. Yet Tracy wasn't the first person notified of Donna's death, wasn't eligible for survivor's benefits, wasn't even entitled to the flag from Donna's casket.
Probably the most painful thing of all of it was when the death certificate came back. It says single. And that was probably the most brutal blow, because we weren't.
Now same-sex military spouses will get medical coverage, death benefits, and Johnson says the knowledge their country loves them as much as they love the country. Ann Thompson, NBC News, New York.
This is Mike Taibbi in California. In San Francisco, thousands gathered to learn the court's ruling. Same-sex marriage, suspended since 2008 by Prop 8, now the law again.
I expect by the end of July, marriages will be provided legally up and down the state of California.
In West Hollywood, there were nervous moments at the Equality California offices where dozens had gathered to watch together. Then cheers of unrestrained joy. Couples like Bella Restrepo and Alicia Guajardo said they can make their wedding plans.
Now we can do it, Dad. Let's get it going. Baby?
Down in Long Beach, Jody Lambert got home from working the night shift in time to greet her partner Rose Holbrook and watch the decision coverage together.
I'm so happy to be on the right side of history.
They'd had an earlier civil union ceremony, but they say marriage, the word with its full meaning, is different.
It's amazing to me how so many people, my family included, treat our relationship so much differently than my brother and his wife's.
Prop 8 may be dead, though its proponents say they're not done yet.
We shall fight on the airwaves. We shall fight in the ballot box. We shall fight in the legislature. We shall fight in the courts. We will not surrender.
But for who knows how many Americans, certainly tens of thousands in California, what happened today means one thing: their lives got better. Here in West Hollywood, they're getting ready for a celebration that will start later tonight. In the meantime, California's Attorney General, Kamala Harris, has asked the federal district court here to vacate the stay immediately and return to same-sex marriage. But as Pete pointed out before, that may take a few weeks or a month to happen. Brian?
Mike Taibbi in California, Ann Thompson before that in New York, rounding